If you finished the 3rd episode of Halo, you need to see this video. I'm gonna be covering the 3 main lessons that we got from the show and the details that you might have missed. There's going to be some cool references to the game, so make sure you stick around till the end of the video. Listen, I'm not gonna hit you with any BS. Just like episode 2, this one is more of an exposition dump, but it does have a cool action scene that sets up stuff for the future, so that's very interesting. But never mind all that, the number one thing that we got from this show is the introduction of Cortana. If this is your introduction to the franchise, first of all, I'm sorry, but the main thing you need to know is that Cortana is the main AI that helps the protagonist of the entire franchise, Master Chief. She's meant to be more of an advisor and assistant to the player character, helping the main man, Master Chief, in hacking computer systems, decoding transmissions, and obviously helping with the battle UI. But in this show, they're trying to subvert our expectations, so in this case, she's also working as a double agent. Dr. Catherine Halsey has directly installed Cortana into Master Chief's cerebral cortex, which basically allows for 2 functions. Number 1, which was the original purpose, she's basically gonna be his assistant and help him in the battlefield to make better decisions. But number 2, she's actually going to be feeding information to Halsey so they can decode the artifact that will lead them to the Halo ring. This means she has complete motor control over Master Chief.
I'll be working with Master Chief to...
Oh, I didn't summon you.
Summon me?
This is a pretty large departure from the source material because in the actual game series, Cortana is more of a partner than an actual hindrance. Cortana does go a little bit crazy in some of the games, but for the most part, she's there to help Master Chief throughout his journey. Pero mi hermano, I just don't get it. I know they're not going to use the Halo games as the end-all be-all in terms of story direction, but Cortana is a huge part of Master Chief's story. At some point, and listen, this is just me, they look like they're in love. I have seen enough fan art to see that be confirmed. Don't ask me. Never mind all that, Jose, focus. I'm not sure where they're taking Cortana's story, but essentially the double agent storyline is what we're going through so far. The only real gripe that I have with her depiction is the fact that the CGI is not all there. Ayo, I'm not saying that it's bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it is clearly evident that the actors are trying to do their best to interact with something that's just not there. It kind of fluctuates into the uncanny valley, and it's a little bit distracting. Thankfully, though, the performance is perfectly executed because Jen Taylor is reprising her role from the video games. Her voice acting is always on point, and it shows in the show. So while I am cautious as to where the storyline is going, I will just leave it to Jen to carry us to the finish line. Numero 2 is the setup for the big villain of the show, the Flood. And curiously enough, they do it through Makee. We finally get to see the origin story of how Makee got so deeply intertwined with the Covenant. Essentially, she was a slave worker in one of the colonies. And we get the classic story of a boy meets girl trying to, you know, make the best of their situation in a barren planet. Her young friend Det is teaching her how to read. And he reveals to her that, hey yo, this is not the only planet in the galaxy. There's other planets with grass and stuff that you can actually have fun doing. Plus, at the end, they share their first kiss. Aww. Pero papi, this is not Cinderella and you know exactly what's about to happen. The military, dead. Thankfully, hope is not abandoned because obviously the Covenant decides to show up. They use a staff called the Luminary in order to find a creature that can help them in the future, and it ends up being Makee. So, long story short, she ends up being raised by the Covenant and gets disdainful of human beings. Nevertheless, she is still human, at least physically, and she decides to help the Covenant by invading a UNSC ship. The main goal is simple, she's trying to find Reach, the home base planet. This, my friends, is where we get the only and huge action scene in the episode. Miss Makee is able to fake a distress signal and infiltrate a UNSC patrol ship with a parasite. It is absolutely brutal. It is something straight out of a horror film. The best way to describe it, it's a mixture between worms and centipedes that absolutely demolish everything in their path. But curiously enough, she's able to control it. So that leads me to believe that this is not the Flood. It's just going to be the setup into how the Flood is going to be portrayed in the show. They also give us a huge reveal. She is biomedically enhanced because she has an energy sword intertwined in her fingers. I'm not sure if she's more machine than human, but we'll figure that out later. She tries to hack the ship, but she does not get the information that she came for. So we are shit out of luck until that storyline gets resolved. And finally, back home, we get a lot of f***ing politics. Listen, ya nosotros sabemos que Dr. Catherine Halsey has her own ulterior motives. She wants to explore the full capabilities of the Cortana system, so she's on her own wave. But then we have her daughter and Admiral Parangovsky basically setting up a whole different analyst team in order to check on the artifact. So they're artificially trying to create this mother versus daughter storyline, and it's just not necessary. We haven't even seen Halsey and Miranda Keyes in the same room act together, so it's just boring. And then you got her father choosing sides by telling Miranda, hey yo, if you're gonna use the separate team to analyze the artifact, just do it quietly while Miranda is out on business. But finally, we got the exact thing that we came for. Cortana is being used to find the Halo ring. We get a brief and very awkward introduction into Cortana and the rest of Silver Team, which is, again, more CGI fanfest. But I think they're using it to forge the seeds of discourse between Silver Team and Master Chief because this is a foreign AI. They've been fighting alongside Master Chief since they were kids, so they trust him, but they don't trust a computer program.
We've been fighting together since we were kids, Chief. Whatever you do, we trust you.
Having said that, with the help of the computer program, Master Chief is able to realize, oh, I am from a different planet and touching the artifact gives me back my memories. Double agent style, Catherine Halsey instructs Cortana, hey, help him remove the hormonal implant. And now Master Chief is human, or as close that he'll ever be to it. Those deep emotional memories that he got access to once he touched the artifact actually lead him directly back to his own planet, where apparently he and his family buried the other half of the Covenant artifact. So by the end, we got Master Chief, Cortana, and Dr. Halsey searching back into Master Chief's planet in order to find, eventually, the Halo Ring. Okay, so that was a lot of information. Yes, they're taking drastic variations to the storyline, but we're arriving at the same place. Master Chief has to find and destroy the Halo Ring, Reach has to be overrun, and then boom, Covenant and Flood. I'm not a huge fan of taking so many liberties with the source material, but it's something there. With that being said, I did like this episode more than episode 2. That one was just straight up exposition garbage. The only thing that I liked about that episode was meeting Soren. This one gave me a little bit of action, and it made me hopeful that there's gonna be some sort of creative direction moving forward. Overall, on a good day, I'll give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Anyway, now you know exactly where this show falls in the Halo main timeline, so make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe with the notification bell on because you'll get instant noties whenever I post my next video, because I'm covering every single one of the episodes on this channel. So make sure to crack a smile, just ride the wave, and I'll see you on the next one, Papi. Wow!